working hard to get there.
It's true.
Okay. Does anyone have any, I'm sorry, because I think we went through the questions, and I just want to start winding down. Let's take questions from the audience. If anyone has any questions, because it's been a great, great panel.
I have a question. Just when you said, that females have to be asked to run for a position, that really struck with me, just because, I've been involved in politics, not that long, because I'm only 19, but, it's always been like a hobby, and I've never seriously considered running for anything, and as driving up here, I'm sure most of you know Ed, and he was like, Molly, are you considering going higher on YDG? And I was like, well, not really, I don't have thick skin, like y'all have been talking about. He was like, I think you underestimate yourself. And that was the first time anybody had ever been like, well, maybe you should. So,
well,
women
go Ed.
traditionally, yeah, go ahead. Women traditionally underestimate themselves. It's not that they aren't qualified or intelligent enough or, articulate
or
enough
organized
or organized or whatever. It's just that they don't think of themselves as that person. But they really are, just like the people they see in front of them. These women who've been successful are just like, your mothers, and just like you 10 years from now, or, even sooner.
And I do think, I've never had anybody ask me to do anything because I'm just going to do it. But that's just me. When I ran for the House, I was looking strategically for that seat to open. I was waiting for redistricting. Now, the numbers didn't look good, but I figured if I don't do it now, when is it ever going to happen? And granted, I only got 34% of the vote, but I won 5 precincts and made a huge difference up the ticket because they had a local person that was running as a Democrat. And you think about when I ran for Public Service Commission, again, didn't win, but got 40% of the vote this time on a statewide race. I had more votes than Mark Taylor.
Wow.
That is unbelievable, and I love Mark. Mark's a great guy. But here, I was the last statewide office on the ballot, running against an entrenched guy on the Public Service Commission who had 3 times as much money as me, and I got more votes than Mark Taylor.
You go, girl.
That's pretty
Exactly. Tremendous.
Now, granted, I had been thinking about what statewide office to run for, and I wasn't sure. And someone said to me, I think you'd be a good public service commissioner. You really do like the energy and the environment, so it was a good fit. I wasn't thinking about PSC, but I was thinking statewide. Because I knew, I was like, I'm not going to sit here in Henry County and wait till Steve Davis, gets hit by the rail line that he won't pass. And you can certainly watch that on YouTube, by the way. We need a rail line from Henry County, from Macon to Savannah and back again.
To Athens.
But, I wasn't going to sit there and wait around for that, and there's good people in Henry County, but I wasn't going to sit there and wait. I was going to figure out the next thing. Didn't run this time because, it was I was doing other things, and I was really engaged in the presidential election and helping, first Hillary and then, Obama, And again, not because Hillary was a woman, but over 4 years ago when she ran for the Senate, I got an email from her, or not an email, a letter that said, would you be an investor in Hillary PAC? Because I'm going to run for a higher office someday. And she started raising money 4 years before she ran for president. And a lot of us got these letters from her that I was like, wow.
But I think the lesson here is that, again, we commend Ed, but it's the kind of thing, it doesn't cost us anything to encourage other women in our lives to think beyond what they might be thinking of on any given day. Again, a part of our socialization, again, there's fellas up there who, I bet you'd walk up there and there are people who tell you that maybe they should run for U.S. Senate next year. Well, hello. I'd like for you to be able to, well, you're not old enough yet. Okay. But my point is, it's too often sort of that cultural heritage that we come up with all the reasons why not. And we need to start just looking at the reasons why.
And Lincoln failed 5 times before he became president. He didn't succeed at any office and became our president. So
I was going to ask you that. What was your thought process when you lost the first race? And yet you just got right back up and I'm going to run for this one again? Without crying like a little girl.
Oh, there's crying.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's not.
Right, Chris? That's my husband. There was definitely crying. If you don't cry, you're not human. It's okay to cry. Just don't let them see. And then fix your mascara really fast. You know,
It's really hard to lose. It's very hard to lose. But if you know that you did everything you possibly could, and your district was like, I mean, there's so many variables that go into whether you can win or not. And a lot of it doesn't have anything to do with who you are. It's, can a Democrat win? Can a woman win in this district? Can, you know, somebody from this end of the county win in a county seat? So there's so many things that go into it that you have to understand that it was not like people were voting on whether they like you or not. You know, it's just an election.
And what gets you through it is, I am a big believer in democracy, and I gave people a choice. 44% at a statewide level said they believed in what I had to say and they were going to vote for me. That's pretty powerful. That was a win in my book. You know, my email is Democracy Dawning for a reason, because I think we're finally on the verge of truly getting all people engaged in democracy. I mean, our country has been ranked of 25 established democracies, we're always at the bottom in voter turnout. How embarrassing is that? When, you know, we give people, granted it's not perfect, but still we're a free country. We're not, you know, having guns at the polls to, like, you know, chat. I mean, there's just so many things that aggravate me, but you just have to do it.
And we're actually behind on having women in the top office too. Think about, you know, Britain and India and
Israel and I mean, and so many places.
Africa, there are more women heads of state in Africa.
Wow.
Hello.
Well, and it is also fascinating how we've had a woman as Secretary of State. I mean, here we have chosen under both Republican and Democrat a woman Secretary of State now for 3 years running. Nobody's even thinking, oh, Hillary Clinton should be Secretary. They were all like, yeah, it's Hillary Clinton. Condoleezza Rice. You know, because Madeleine Albright broke it. You know, she broke it open, and the rest of the world wants to deal with Hillary Clinton and Condoleezza Rice. I mean, they like Condoleezza Rice. So, you know, but they really love Hillary. And that's really exciting. So if, you know, I think that it's just you have to do it. And there are probably other questions.
Do we have any other questions? Because I was going to say let's start wrapping up because Jane's got to get ready for a VIP reception. Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing, being from North Carolina, that has been immeasurably helpful for women candidates, and that's the public financing system we have.
Oh, yeah.
It has been immeasurably helpful. It started first at the judicial level, where we just dominated, I mean, at that level. And I think that's going to get expanded this year to include basically everyone but governor. And so that has been immeasurably helpful for women, because what they have to do is they have to ask for a bunch of small contributions, not a bunch of, you know, few Uber contributions. You have to ask for like $400, $100 contributions. That's a lot easier for people and women than, you know, asking for $4,000 checks every month.
Absolutely. Although those $1,000 checks make
They're
life
nice.
so much easier. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. When I ran between the State House and the PSC and I could get a $5,000 check, I was like, woohoo, $5,000, $5,000.
It goes a lot quicker when you get $5,000 checks.
You know, that and the fact I also want to, and I think you all, and it's funny, again, I just don't feel like it's been 20 years since I was, you know, entering politics, but there's also a fear, I think, of men for losing position. And there's a lot, and how do we make them know that we're human people? And we're not trying to be taking over the world.
Oh, gosh.
No. Oh, that's right.
Well, that was a lot, you know, that was really the issue when they redrew that Senate district. I think it, you know, 50% of it was a woman and 50% of it was a Democrat. They didn't want a woman.
That's 100%.
Yeah, exactly. And they didn't want a Democrat. And so the Republicans, that's why it was so important to the Republicans to change that district. Because I was a woman and I was a Democrat. And you put those two